Hello everybody, this is Havoc, and welcome back to our tutorial for absolute beginners in Manor Lords. Now, in the last episode, we really started advancing the village, and hopefully the usefulness around learning your industrial things, learning the basics of combat in something that was larger than a singular unit was hopefully helpful as well, to get that production started, to engage the war machine, as it were, especially considering that we have an aggressive AI lord that is conquering regions left, right, front, and center, and will eventually start pressing against us. Now, it is winter, and while I promised you a farming episode to go over the ideas of farming and the functionality, we'll get there. We just kind of have to wait until spring so I can really show it off. There's a chance that I may explain all of the basics and we may lay fields in the winter because, let's be frank, there's a lot of time in between now and then, but I do wanted to get things jump started now because we do have raiders coming in 24 days. And you can see there, Goldoff is already that's the last region. So essentially, for myself in this town of Tutorial Town, we would have to be fighting tooth and nail the entire way in order to even have a chance at expansion. Now, admittedly, we do have quite a few people here, and they are working as intended in terms of we almost have a full unit of spear militia and archer militia. Now we have an extra amount of spears and warbows, but we're not going to do anything just yet with those because we don't even have the capacity to be able to bring those people in and work it. Now, I think we will go ahead and start our basics on farming here in just a little bit, but I do want to let you know that I've gone ahead. I have the expansion room, and while we do have a few houses here that could get filled up, and we've already got someone moving in, we are already going to have a little farming community based over here. And what I'm going to do, this is simply more for role-playing purposes and being, I don't want to say historically accurate, that's kind of the wrong word, but essentially I want to have a farm-focused area right here, and I want to make sure that all of these people are either producing eggs or veggies just as like an incentive to just further dive into the idea of a farming community. Because again, I love this prospect of having multiple communities kind of eventually all molding into one. And eventually, you know, we will get into our, in fact, we could go ahead and do that. I have tons of roads here just because I feel like doing it that way. All right, so eventually we will have our, finally have our hunters thing. Now, admittedly, I would have been doing this really like right from the beginning, but it's just so far removed, and with the aggressiveness of the game settings we have, it was best for me to just leave this alone until we could do otherwise. Now, all that to say, we are still doing okay with food, and we are still doing okay in terms of, well, we could probably use some more hides, to be completely honest. So we may focus on that a little bit as well in the near future because, well, to be frank, we did lose our hide production because we upgraded all of these people into a level 2. So we still have a lot to learn here for you guys, and there's a couple of optimization things that I wanted to talk about while we have 21 days left. So it's going to be an optimization thing. For me personally, while I do enjoy min-maxing, to me, there's a lot of min-maxing that can be done in the game that I just don't feel the necessity to do myself. That doesn't mean that you shouldn't do it, especially if you like being incredibly super productive. But for me, inside of Manor Lords specifically, I just like to enjoy the game as it is, leave people in their jobs, for instance, without, you know, some blatant obvious things that you could do. Because optimization and realizing, hey, it's spring, so I needed to do X, Y, and Z. It just, I don't know. To me, for instance, we could do this. Your forager hut isn't doing anything, so you could minimize that person there. We have different farmers who you could say, hey, you could do, for instance, you could do like your hunters, they gather X number of meat and leather in X number of months, so you could employ them and then unemploy them and move them over to the tannery. Those are great, and those are definitely some tools for optimization that could be had. For me and myself under this house, we're not going to do that optimal. And I think it's important, especially as a guide for total beginners, like especially if you're at that level, that I don't feel like you need to min-max that hardcore. You certainly can, And if you are someone who really wants to focus on that, then certainly there are guides out there. But for here, I don't think it's super important to emphasize that, hey, you know, March through May, you need to have these people employed at these places. June through August, unemploy them, move them here. Autumn, move them here, because that's just too much. That's a lot of micromanagement, and I don't really enjoy that. And while there are certainly like Anno 1800 levels of optimization, believe you me, there are in this game. I don't know. This game almost, to me, kind of just deserves to be played and enjoyed in these sort of cinematic stances and just to have fun. But that's me personally. Now, there are people who disagree with that, and that's fine. And there are certainly times to be optimal, certainly times to be different than that. But just a quick little statement as we start wrapping up towards the ends of this tutorial series, that you can again play how you want to play, and no one else can tell you otherwise. And I just want you to know that and to believe it. So with that in mind, again, 13 days left. We're going to wait until the raiders come before we go and do anything. Yeah, we're going to have to do that for sure. So it's only 13 days away. It won't take very long now. Golof is already being claimed, so we got to deal with that as well. Let's roll into it. All right. Well, if you are playing with raiders on, depending on what year you decide that you are going to be raider free, this will be probably one of your biggest challenges. Now, this will operate. Let's see where they're coming from for one. Oh, they're coming from right there. Awesome. That's actually extremely dangerously close. We may experience some pain and suffering here. But your raiders are going to be your biggest threat in the first largest threats you're going to experience. So we are going to rally immediately and hope that they are able to gather soon enough. It's very possible that we may experience some pillaging over here, unless these guys are able to, which they may. But this is going to be, I guess, your next largest battle that you'll experience this early in the game. And you can see already that they are on the route to pillage. Now, it says that there's just one of them. There may be two. And if there is only one, then it's going to be a very simple battle. But otherwise, oh, yep, okay. So we are going to just simply fight the raiders. If they are spawning in your hometown, there is a very good chance that they will indeed start pillaging your buildings and stuff. And there is currently a bug where if a burgage plot especially is pillaged, then you aren't able to build it back. Hopefully, early access bug can be can be done quickly, but it is what it is. We are going to try and find these guys really quick. Oh my word. It'd be great if they didn't just, if the overlay didn't spill into there. Yeah, I really can't see them. So I have no idea. Are these guys it? These guys are it. Okay. We're going to go ahead and have our archers set up on the hill. And we can just hope that no one is going to pillage and that these brigands are indeed all there is. Now, sometimes, and as the game goes on, I should say, these brigands will get more and more intense. Or raiders, I guess they technically are. And they will start doing more and more damage and becoming larger. So you definitely want to consistently expand them, your militia, in order to cater to it. There we go. Please don't shoot the civilian. All right, simple enough. Now again, at this point in time, archers are seriously underpowered. They were overpowered and they got kind of harder, more harshly nerfed than they probably should have, but that's being resolved as balance is being found. So you'll definitely want to combine your archer militia with some spears. We are actually working on, I think, pole arms here in just a minute so we can get a unit variance. There we go. But as like we went over this sort of tutorial thing before. All right, and everything is well and good. I think we did only have one unit of raiders. And we're good. All right. Heck yes. All right, so with those guys dissolved, let's go ahead and get into farming. Farming is not as intense as it seems, although there is a lot of information that isn't super readily available that I think makes farming a little more overwhelming than it probably should be. And of course, work in progress game, early access, So there is going to be some things that we just have to be mindful of as we start working through this. So to start your farming experience, for one, you need the availability to do so. And if you are one of the unfortunate people who gets stuck as like, Imrith, that doesn't have good barley or flax areas, then you're kind of just honestly SOL. You're kind of out of luck, and you'll get some super low yields. So that just is unfortunately kind of the name of the game at the moment. You will see that there are only really 2 regions of the map that are super fertile, and that just gives you room for expansion if that's where you want to go. Now for us, we are able to have a lot of options, and that's where we're going to kind of focus our efforts today. It's to figuring out what we want to do, how we want to expand our farming production, and jumpstart it off the right foot. Now, what I will say, if you want to go for some really great immersion, you could go ahead and start building another logging camp over here, which is actually what we might do. We might build another logging camp on the outskirts right here. One thing that I don't like about the game currently is that if you were to build a field, it would just straight up remove all the trees and you kind of lose those trees. So one of the things I would recommend if I had the time is that I would say, hey, I'm going to go ahead and utilize this space, and I'm going to carve out all of the trees here first using a logging camp. And then I'm going to go in and place my fields. Again, we don't really have that sort of time, but that's what I would do personally if I had given a little foresight. Plus, to be honest, it really can't hurt to have a handful of logging camps as long as you're being mindful of the management of it. And we'll get to the management here in a minute as well. But the reason I want to focus on this is because we do have 6 unassigned people that we could really use in some great areas, and we need to get rocking and rolling. So your farming plots are again a flexible plot, just like with any other part of the game that has flexible plots. You are going to need to have, well, my brain just messed it up. You're going to need to lay down 4 points. So we can do that anywhere and in any way, shape, or form that we pretty much want to, but we do kind of want to optimize a little bit. And we want to go ahead and dive into all 3 different resources as well. I don't see any issues with that. I think it's a pretty good idea, in my opinion. So what we can do here, we can do lots of things. Now we can have our farming fields butt up right up against where I'm going to have my farming community, which will be right here. And we could see that, well, flax would be good right here. Barley actually has some of the best things. And again, we have the best region for our regular old wheat. So what we're going to do, I don't like building huge, I used to. I don't like building huge plots anymore. And the main reason is that, I don't know, I just, maybe I'm old and I don't want people to overwork themselves. Maybe it's just because it looks really cool to have multiple small plots. But regardless, it's going to be a good deal. Now, I will say that there are definitely some optimizations out there that you can do, but for instance, I think half a Morgan, I think I saw a guy, strategy guides guy. I can put the link if I remember. If not, then definitely hit me up about it. But if I remember correctly, high yield Emmer will produce about 60 a year, or per harvest season per Morgan. So this would produce 30 wheat, for instance. Now, I do know from experience that 30 wheat will turn into 30 flour, which will then turn into 60 bread. So basically, your wheat production equals 2 bread production overall throughout the different processes. So if we went here, we're going to say half a Morgan. You're going to be able to get 60 bread out of this thing. So we're going to go ahead and do a wheat field there. Making sure I didn't accidentally. Okay, no, that's fine. Now, admittedly, when you place a field, you don't determine what it is right now. Right now, we are just fallow, which means that there is nothing going on. Fertility remains the same. And what we can do is we can simply do smaller plots. That's entire Morgan. I don't know if I want to do a full Morgan just yet, because I do think we want several smaller plots for the time being. And what we can do in order to make things even a little bit better, if we really want to have good fields, or good looking fields, I should say, is that we can simply build a road. and hope that that is straight. It's straight-ish. And then we can lay down our plots. So we're going to see that barley is going to be good here. And that just gives us a really simple way to build some easy to use plots. And so the best thing about this is that we can really determine how big our our fields are. And I want to, you can also unsnap to roads. Nope, apparently that doesn't work right now. I do really care about placement, so it's a bit unfortunate that it's making me do this. We're gonna lay down a handful of fields here. Now, mind you, remember that emmer, flax, and barley, like these are just the fertility levels. If I place a field under the overlay, it's still just going to be a fallow field. So just kind of keep that in mind as we start working through this. And I'll be right back after I place some fields. Okay, well, that is actually, nope, we have a good flax field here. So we're going to split this into 2 small parts. There we go. Now, I will be completely honest with you. We are not going to work all of these fields at once. That is completely unnecessary. We don't need to do that. We will overwork our people 100%, and it's just not something that would be advisable. However, it's good to start with the basics and at least be able to lay out your fields. Worst comes to worst, you don't use these, and everything is hunky-dory. So what we got here are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10 fields to work with. And there are going to be various levels. You're just going to have to mess with it. Or if I haven't laid down the video to, I think it's Strategy Guides channel, let me know in the comments section. I'll be sure to do that. But basically, what we want to do is we want to remember where our fertility levels are. So in this instance, we want these 2 fields to be flax. And here is your field overview. Now your field overview allows you to, we'll do fence up in a little bit to explain that. But you basically only have 3 different crop types. You have wheat, barley, and flax. Now, if you were to unlock rye, which is the hardier wheat, that option would be available to you too. In this region, we don't have to worry about that. We're not going to spend a development point doing rye. We can see here that wheat is going to be the best. Barley is going to be the last, and flax is where we want to be anyways. But what we also want to do, right now, again, it's fallow, giving no yields. We want to bring back fertility in crop rotation. So crop rotation triggers after the harvest season. Keeping the field fallow generates the most fertility. So right now, we have fallow across 3 years. We can do flax. The second year will be fallow, for instance, and we could go flax again. Now that does mean that once the first year rolls back, you're going to have 2 years back to back. In my opinion, I do wish that almost it was like worked on a 4-year system, simply because I could do flax, fallow, but that's okay. It's not a huge deal. However, the more that it is used, the more the fertility decreases. So we have that availability. I highly recommend doing crop rotation on every single field that you use. And the thing is, it also allows you to be able to rotate different things. So for instance, we're going to have like 3 years. Okay. Hold on real quick. Sorry. My brain is all mixed up this morning. Apologies. We are probably going to use all of these fields, and I'll explain in a little bit. Apologies. Brain's all funky after a long weekend. We're all good. So you have your crop rotation. You have your field priority, which means that which fields, just like we had with buildings and things, what field gets the highest priority in terms of what gets plowed first, what gets seeded first, what gets harvested first. Right now, we don't have to worry about that. And then, of course, once they harvest them, there will be a storage factor dealing in there. Now, if we were to go into our development points and we were to go into fertilization, which I don't think we'll actually be able to get to in this one. We might, because I do think we want to do fertilization in bakeries. But if we went into fertilization, it allows us to use a fallow field, a field that isn't being used actively, as a pasture, which rapidly restores lost fertility. That's what this fence up is. For 5 planks, we were able to plank up the field, turn it into a pasture during the fallow season. and that will regenerate the lost fertility, which is actually a really good philosophy if you have a heavy agriculture-based region. So we have this field, which is going to generate some flax. And we can see here, well, it's not generating anything right now. We can do the same thing here. Oops, sorry about that. We want to go crop rotation. And I think what we're actually going to do is we are going to keep the same philosophy here, just because we do kind of need two good fields. Now, admittedly, we could build a third and a fourth field. In fact, let's go ahead and do that real quick, because I'm going to show you what I meant by we are going to, my mindset around the fields was a little bit off base in terms of what we are going to do. I do not like being pinned to roads. There we go. There we go. All right. So again, flax is great in all of these. So we have a flax, fallow flax, flax, fallow flax, which means in the second year, we are actually not harvesting any flax whatsoever. And so what we're going to do here, we're going to go to crop rotation. I'm going to go fallow, flax, flax, which means that in the second year, we will have 1 flax and we'll actually have 3 in the third year. And then here, I'm going to go, oh, nope, there we go. I'm going to go flax, flax again. So we're going to have 2 fields in the first year. We're going to have, actually, yeah, 2 fields in the first year, 2 fields in the second year, and 4 in the third year. Now, I could simply fallow this one up if I wanted to, which means that this one would just rotate just a little bit off base. But this is kind of my philosophy behind making sure that every year is going to be as productive as it can be. And so, for instance, here, we are going to do crop rotation. We're going to have barley in the first year. We're not going to do any barley in the second or third year. I'm going to go here. We're going to do barley in the second year only. And then I'm going to go over to this guy here. We're going to do crop rotation. We're going to have barley in the third year. And I'm going to go here and have barley in the first year as well. So that way you have smaller fields that are constantly producing every single year. And I just feel like that's a really good design philosophy overall, is to simply be able to make sure that you're giving your fields room to breathe and you're not overproducing them, so that way you always have a field that is working, but that way it just allows you to have a little more breathing room. Oh, nope, we want to do that. There we go. All right, so we have our fields laid out and what we want them to do. We're going to go ahead and go into our farming, and we are going to build a farmhouse. And I'm going to plant this farmhouse right smack dab in the middle of these farms. We are going to give it the highest priority in order to build it quickest. And I don't even think these guys have seen any things. That's fine. We're going to go ahead and sit here for a minute. We're going to let this build. We're going to let both of these things build so we can get to work. All right, a couple of developments. Our farmhouse is complete. We are building a second farmhouse, and I'll tell you why. We, in Tutorial Town, decided in the last episode that a heavy plow would be one of the best things that we could do, considering the high fertility of our region. A heavy plow allows employing oxmen at the farmhouse for significantly faster plowing of large fields, as well as bringing crops back to store more efficiently. So we're going to create something that I think is probably decently optimized, in that we are going to build 2 farmhouses. Both of them are going to have the heavy plow, and we're going to have a couple of hitching posts here. And so that's going to allow us to plow fields twice as much. And in fact, we may build like several farmhouses and employ just a few of them every single time. For the time being, though, we do need to make sure, I actually should not have done this just yet because I can't employ anybody. We'll be right back. That's a goof up on my end. All right, here we go. Now, we have a farmhouse. We do have, are you employed? You're a miner. I think all of you are miners. You're a tile maker. That's close enough. And you are a tanner. Okay, well, we're going to reassign you here now. Thank you very much for your support. We also now have our farming community built over here. We simply just need to get people employed. And so for the time being, unfortunately, we're going to have to be a little less than optimal. And we're going to have to come in and bring in a lot of, actually, we're going to split it here. Very nice. And then we are going to go into advanced, and we are going to permanently assign livestock. Now, I don't know that I can actually decide what livestock goes here, so hopefully we could do that in the future. But for now, we are going to permanently assign 2 of them over to their regions. We have plenty of things here. Oh, look what's happening. I'm actually not sure what's going on here. I think this is a little bit of a bug, but I'll take it, because I don't think it was supposed to go this quickly. I don't know what's happening. So apologies on that. I don't know that that's actually supposed to happen, but that's okay. We are going to alternate between veggies, and we are going to alternate between chicken coops over here. Now, again, we're not being super optimal with this, but to be honest, at this point in time, I just really like the idea of alternating and having a fun little community of alternating different people here. But what is going to happen, basically, is that there are different processes that are going to go down. We are going to start with plowing, which again went incredibly fast. Hopefully that's just a small bug, because it is a lot of fun actually to watch your oxen plow the fields. But you can see the next stage is going to be sowing. So they are going to have a sowing progress, and that's going to be incredibly helpful in order to get your crops running efficiently and effectively. And so we can see that we kind of have this, we're going to have a constant ebb and flow of different fields doing different things. All of these are going to be fallow this year. And if we were to have sheep, we would be able to start restoring any lost fertility that was in that. Now, we can't totally invest in some sheep, and it wouldn't be a bad idea to go ahead and do that. But I do want to explain the process of what happens with the farmhouses. So you will have your plowing progress, sowing will occur, your crops will grow, and then they will be harvested, as you can see, in 115 days. Now, wheat does grow in 2 different cycles. You will have winter wheat, and you can have summer wheat. So we'll be able to, hopefully be able to harvest in different seasons, depending on when that is occurring. Now, what I do recommend is having a handful of farmhouses, 100%, simply to allow you to double the amount of progress that is happening, as it were. Because again, if we can have 2 oxen plow those fields, it just makes it that much quicker to be able to then start seeding and growing. Now, there are some visual bugs. If you're playing and you've been playing way ahead of me, and you see and hear that your growth is almost at 100% and you don't see the yields, that's simply because there is a bit of a visual bug around some of these. Again, we're in early access here. I think what's more important at the moment is that you are simply being able to harvest things, if that makes sense. So we can see right here that we are starting to see yields go up. As they are seeding, this is saying, hey, you're going to get 18 wheat out of here. So far, you're going to get 6. That will go up as they seed the entire thing, so don't worry there. That's not anything to be incredibly concerned about. So what happens when these all get rolling? So we can see here we have plenty of timber to be able to show this off. Well, for one, your wheat fields will need to be refined in 2 different ways. First, they will be gathered and they will need to be sent to a windmill. Your windmill power is determined by its position on hills. So you can see we do have a large hill, albeit it's got some trees behind it, but I don't really think that matters. Your windmill will turn your grain into flour, and that is going to be the best solution, the only solution, to be able to grind up your grain. Now, what a better solution is you have 2 options to then turn that into bread. Right now, we have the option to turn it from a communal oven, which turns your flour into bread. If we were to go up to here, we can see that bakeries, you can produce bread from flour at twice the efficiency of a communal oven, but it is a artisan-focused one. So you can see right here, the bakery extension is going to be how you do that. It works twice as fast, which means you're going to produce twice as much bread, which is a really good deal. So I think what we'll end up doing is turning these alternates into level 2s, in which the artisan would be that bakery extension. So what we are going to do, we're going to go ahead. These people aren't doing anything at the moment. There's no one living here. We are just going to go ahead and upgrade those and be all well and good. So we're going to go ahead and also do a communal oven, because at the moment, that's really the only thing that we can do in order to get all of the ways to make flour. So that's with wheat. Barley is going to be under farming. No, excuse me. It's going to be under industry. And we're going to turn it into malt from a malt house. And so we are just going to build a huge little farming industrial community here, because I think that would be really, really cool. Worst comes to push comes to shove, we may build the malt house over here. No, I don't think we will. I think we will kind of build our small community over here, because I love the idea that we just kind of keep all the things kind of in-house that wouldn't cause pollution or anything like that. So let's go ahead and we're gonna kind of build us some bigger space here. There we go. And so we can build a malt house. Oh man, we don't have the space for it. Oh, boo. Let's redo this real quick. We can't build without roads, so we're going to simply put the malt house on the back end. And we're going to kind of treat it as though like there's going to be farmers that are going to turn things into malt when they can. And then last but not least is your flax. Now your flax is going to get turned into wool, or excuse me, into linen from your weaver's workshop. And so we do have a wonderful community here that we're going to build. Again, you don't have to do it this way. I'm not saying it's a requirement any way, shape, or form. But for me, I kind of like I love actually the idea of micro communities. Now, to be quite frank, I don't know what the maximum is to kind of min-max what your people are going to be doing. What is reasonable to be able to build and to harvest is something that I don't have the information on. So that's just, I just don't have it. I just don't have it. It's just not something that I've done the research on, because I do have a wife and children who love me dearly in real life and would like to see me and things of that nature. So we're just gonna be a little, I won't even say role playing, but just we're gonna really take advantage of all of the spaces that we can here and really give this farming community a good look. There we go. We are going to go ahead and turn this into wheat. And then we are going to turn this into a 3rd year wheat only. And then I think we are going to go ahead and build a well. There is a risk. Oh, we do have to build it through the underground. There is a risk for fires to occur when thunderstorms happen, for instance. So like having a well there just as a peace of mind. And that's just a really nice community. I mean, look at this nice little farming community we have going on. It looks great. It is a little bit removed from the main city center, but still accessible enough to where we're going to reap the benefits of it. And we can see here what our yields are going to be even more now that we have some things that are completely sown. We probably could use some more flax, if I'm being completely honest. And we can definitely improve on that. I don't know if I really want to mingle in with those guys just yet. So maybe we'll leave this and everything will be okay. Yeah, we do have some flax here that I think would work well. Let's go ahead. I have a compulsion to have more flax. That's a marketplace. We don't need a marketplace that big ever. There we go. And then we're going to flax. Yep, right now it seems like there's a little bit of a bug. I do wish that didn't happen because I really, really enjoy seeing the oxen take it on. But that's okay. They'll get to do all their stuff. We have 77% approval now, which is also great. We are running a little low on food. I do think we need to go ahead and prioritize a couple of burgage plots over here and dedicate it. Actually, we only need 1 burgage plot to be able to turn this into a good deal. There we go. And we will lay down something that, again, 99% of you have probably done from the get-go, and that is place that there. Now, one of the things I do want to do here as well is that we want to ensure that goods are transported and with the least amount of effort and time. And that's going to require us to have a couple of storage houses here in order that they could go directly from here with their flour or their grain, and they can straight up do this. So we are going to prioritize these in order to make things as efficient as possible. And then last but not least, just me being me, I love the idea that like these extra little pathways coming in and out were designed specifically so that people like me could be like, hey, I'm going to bring my communities into the church here with some intentional design aesthetics. And so we're going to be able to just allow these people a pathway to be able to go to church. There's your farming in a nutshell. We are going to fast forward quite a deals into the future so we can see when they are harvesting and when they are doing that. So buckle up. We're going to be there in just a minute. All right, welcome back. It is harvest season. Seems like a blink of an eye, doesn't it? Now, as we can see here, this is our various harvests that we are going to be able to get into the game. We're going to be able to harvest 41 from here, 33. We actually have a very large wheat harvest, which is awesome to see. We're going to have a great deal of flax as well, and a good deal of barley. It's not going to be too bad of a harvest season. Now, everyone is going to start being deployed here, and I do believe all of their families join in as well. So that's going to be a great harvest time. Oh my word, we have so much clay. Let's go ahead and deprioritize that. We'll keep it. Sweet. We've had a family move in as well. We've got a lot of expansion going on over here in that regard. Now, if I remember, here they go. Perfect. Now, I don't know in what order. Again, we could prioritize. So let's actually like prioritize the wheat overall. And then I think we'll be okay. Now, we do need some people to work at the windmill, and it's going to start windmilling. And eventually we'll need people at the oven too, but all is well and good now. We are suffering from a little bit of food issues. I'm not really sure what's happening. I've imported a little bit, but it does seem like they're not harvesting quite as well as they usually do. So we're having a little bit of an issue there. But again, I'm not perfect. I'm not claiming to be. So there is that. But you can see they start harvesting. They're going to start being able to have their yields and their storages. And again, this is going to allow our people, the farmhouse with the livestock is going to allow them to start transporting that a lot faster to be able to then go into here. Now, is anyone building anything at the moment? They are not, which is fine. But the reason I ask is because we need to get these into the granaries ASAP, especially because the stocks are being damaged. So we don't want that whatsoever. Now, what do we have here? I think we are going to go ahead and remove one of these guys because the log storage is full, which will allow an ox to be able to do anything it needs to. There we go. Start loading those up, boyos. Start storing them where you need to store them. Now, what's going to happen here once they get done harvesting is that we have a collection of wheat and of barley right now, but mainly we're going to focus on the wheat aspect and hope that I didn't just lose a lot of wheat and that it is instead being put here. But essentially, wheat needs to be threshed and turned into grain. And that grain will then be pushed over here to the windmill, which will then be pushed over to the communal oven, given that we have enough people for it. There we go. Okay, as long as we're okay here, I think we'll be good. We'll be good. We just need the people to start working a little bit faster. Faster would be better. And what you can do also, just like with the other woodcutters and things of that nature, is you could say, hey, I only want you guys to work these fields, or I only want you to work over here. I don't tend to that right now anyway, simply because I really just want them to all work together in one big happy family. There we go. And that's just going to allow us to work as efficiently as possible, in my opinion. Doesn't mean it's the right one, but it is the one we're going to roll with because, well, I'm the one making the video. Oh, goodness. Okay, so next up, while these people are rocking and rolling it, we do have an overabundance of war bows, spears, and shields. We don't have a full thing of polearms just yet. What I am going to do is I'm going to go ahead and build a new militia for spears, and that's going to allow us to be able to push that to its extreme. And once more people start moving in, we'll fill that out. The main reason we're doing this is that we're going to have probably one final episode after this one. And in which case, what we are going to do is we are going to claim the region next to us. Because again, if you'll remember, it has a rich iron deposit that we want. And then we're going to go to war against the AI Lord, and I'm going to show you how to expand. All of those are really simple things that we can do. We just have to get to it, and we do have to build a manor as well. But we're kind of working on some funky plank production overall that we don't really have the ability to change. It's all right. What I really wanted to show you guys was that we are going to turn this wheat, once they are done harvesting, they're going to turn that into... We're going to actually prioritize threshing on both of these. So they're going to... We should have the oxen should be dedicated to plowing and not the people here. So I don't know what that's about. Especially because we have a yield here that needs to be taken. There we go. Oh, hey, look at this. It finally did work. So here we have our 2 oxen. Plowing the field, which you can see is going to be significantly faster than the humans doing it. They are doing fields twice as large in the same amount of time, so that's all well and good. I really need these people to start coming in and threshing, so we'll be back in just a minute when that happens, just so I can show you the process and what it looks like. And here we go. We can see that the wheat is being turned into grain. That grain will eventually be turned into flour, and that flour will eventually be turned into bread. Very nice. We're starting to get some people rolling in. We do finally have enough fuel. We will make it. It's just it's being overconsumed at the moment. And in fact, we may go ahead and work on a charcoal kiln that will be over here that we could really focus on and be able to employ people there. Now we do have a lot of people. We have a farmer there already. Great. We have a granary worker and an unassigned person. That's also great. Push them into the farmhouse. I really want you to see the bread that's being made, but it doesn't look like it's going to be able to do that for me. There we go. We can see lots and lots of flours being made. Don't know what that was. Was that just reflection of water? I think it was. And there we go. Hopefully this was very useful for you in its crazy format. I'm a little scatterbrained today, so apologies on that front as I work through figuring that out. But you can see here we have a ton of grain. We have loads of flour that we'll be able to start using, and that will start going into this communal oven. And were we to level up and get level 3 burgers plots, we would be able to get a development point which allow us our bakery extension. Now, if we were to go over here, we can see that we need a level 2 church, we need another source of clothing, and we need a tavern, which all of those things should be viable off screen in the next episode. So hopefully by the time the next episode rolls around, you'll see some level 3 houses. So we can start working on other things like getting planks and manor going up and things of that nature. But for now, there we go. There we go. Start seeing people bake some bread. Brilliant. All right, awesome. Ladies and gentlemen, that's going to be it for this episode. I hope you enjoyed it. If you did, you know what to do. Give the video a like, subscribe to the channel, and if you haven't bought the game yet, or you want to support me in any other way, you can use my Nexus GG store link. Specifically for this game, I get 40% back as a commission, but it's never ever necessary, so don't feel compelled to do so if you don't want to. Winter is about to approach. I'll see you in the next episode. Thank you again so much for your support. This is Havoc. I'm out of here.